Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're tackling a seriously costly misconception. It's this dangerous idea that catches so many folks completely off guard. Basically, it's the belief that Original Medicare is going to cover absolutely all of your healthcare expenses in retirement. A lot of people turning 65 think they're entirely covered, but actually, scratch that. As we'll see today, that mistake can become incredibly expensive very quickly.
So I want you to imagine something for a second. You've finally reached retirement, right? You're ready to kick back and relax, and out of nowhere, bam, you are hit with massive surprise medical bills right out of the gate. Why? Well, simply because you didn't fully realize the gaps in your original Medicare coverage. Honestly, a lot of Americans don't even know what these gaps are until after they open that dreaded bill in the mail.
Let's put a real number on this to put it into perspective. Say you need a surgery that costs $40,000. Now, Original Medicare is going to pay for the lion's share of that, which is fantastic. But the leftover out-of-pocket costs on a bill that size, we are still talking about several $1,000s that you are literally entirely responsible for. If you're living on a fixed income, a surprise bill like that can absolutely devastate your life savings.
So to help protect your retirement, here is our game plan for today. We'll quickly run through the Medicare coverage gap, exactly what Medigap is, the costs and coverage, how to figure out if you actually need it, and finally, the absolute biggest enrollment mistake you have to avoid.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the Medicare coverage gap, and what is Medigap.
Okay, let's unpack this. Medigap, which you'll also hear called Medicare Supplement insurance, is basically extra insurance. Think of it as a giant financial safety net designed to help pay the costs that Original Medicare just doesn't fully cover. You keep your Original Medicare, and this Medigap policy sits right there alongside it, catching those massive bills that would otherwise slip right through the cracks.
Because here is the harsh reality check. Original Medicare, meaning Part A and Part B, does not pay 100% of your medical bills. No way. You are still completely on the hook for deductibles, co-pays, co-insurance, hospital costs, and emergency bills. And, when you're dealing with a serious health issue, those leftover expenses, they add up like wildfire.
So what exactly does this safety net catch? Let's move on to Section 2. What does Medigap cover?
Depending on the specific plan you end up choosing, Medigap swoops in to help pay for things like your Medicare Part A hospital deductibles and your Part B coinsurance. It can even cover skilled nursing care coinsurance, blood transfusions, and get this, even some emergency health care if you happen to be traveling outside the country. For a lot of retirees, just knowing those items are covered offers massive peace of mind.
Now, here is a crucial rule that totally surprises people. Every single Medigap plan is standardized by the government. So what does that actually mean for you? Well, it means a Plan G from one insurance company gives you the exact same basic coverage as a Plan G from a completely different company. The government dictates exactly what they have to cover, no exceptions.
And because these plans are standardized, it completely flips your shopping strategy upside down. The main difference between these companies is literally just the monthly price tag. Company A might charge you $140 a month, while Company B turns around and charges $220 a month for basically the exact same coverage. This just perfectly illustrates why shopping around is an absolute non-negotiable must.
And speaking of Plan G, it's pretty much one of the most popular plans in America right now. Why? Because Medigap Plan G covers almost all of your out-of-pocket Medicare costs, except for the small yearly Part B deductible. Folks love it because it provides incredibly predictable healthcare costs. It basically means far fewer financial jump scares when you go to the doctor.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3. Costs and Coverage Explained, where we'll look at the actual price tags for 2026.
Let's talk real numbers here. For 2026, you can generally expect Medigap plans to run somewhere between $100 to over $300 a month. Now I know, you might be thinking, whoa, that sounds kind of expensive. But remember, you're trading that monthly premium for an ironclad protection against thousands of dollars in sudden out-of-pocket bills if you ever face a serious illness or a long hospital stay.
But exactly where you land in that price range, that depends on a handful of specific variables. Your price is impacted by your age, your state, your gender, whether or not you smoke, the specific plan letter you go with, and of course, the insurance company you buy it from. To put that into perspective, a healthy 65-year-old woman living in Florida might pay around $140 a month for a Plan G, but an older smoker in a different state, they are definitely going to pay a lot more.
So, the million-dollar question is, should you actually buy it? Let's figure that out in Section 4. Do you need it?
Honestly, there's no single right answer here. It completely depends on your unique situation. Medigap makes a ton of sense if you visit doctors frequently or if you just really crave predictable healthcare costs month to month. It's also fantastic if you love to travel around the US because there are zero complicated provider networks or referrals to deal with. Literally, if a doctor accepts Original Medicare, they accept your Medigap plan. If the thought of massive medical bills keeps you up at night and you want absolute freedom to pick your doctors, this is definitely the path for you.
But wait, there is one absolute rule you have to remember. You cannot use Medigap with Medicare Advantage. You have to choose one or the other. This is a massive point of confusion that trips folks up every single year. They do not mix. It's strictly an either-or situation.
To see how this actually plays out in the real world, let's look at two completely different people making two totally different choices. Take Bob, for example. He's 67, he's got diabetes, sees specialists, and loves to travel. He needs predictable costs and that nationwide access. So for Bob, Medigap is a total no-brainer. Now compare him to Linda. She's 65, super healthy, rarely goes to the doctor, and her biggest priority is just keeping her monthly expenses as low as possible. For her, a Medicare Advantage plan might actually be the much better fit. Like I said, there is simply no one-size-fits-all answer.
But if you do decide that Medigap is right for you, you really need to pay close attention to Section 5, the biggest enrollment mistake.
The single biggest mistake people make, waiting too long to pull the trigger. You see, when you first enroll in Medicare Part B, you trigger your special Medigap open enrollment period. This is a strict 6-month window. During these first 6 months, insurance companies generally cannot deny you coverage because of any pre-existing health conditions. But the moment month 7 hits, that window slams shut.
If you miss that crucial window, the risks are pretty severe. You'll likely have to go through medical underwriting, which basically means they are going to scrutinize your entire health history. You could face skyrocketing monthly prices, or, depending entirely on your state, you could be hit with a flat-out denial of coverage. Unfortunately, getting insurance gets significantly harder as health problems naturally pop up later in life. Timing is absolutely everything here. At the end of the day, Medigap offers incredibly powerful financial armor, but it does require you to budget for those monthly premiums up front. Understanding your options, keeping an eagle eye on those deadlines, and running the actual numbers before you make a decision is totally critical, because as we've seen throughout this explainer, making the wrong choice regarding your Medicare setup can quickly become wildly expensive and even threaten your life savings during retirement.
So, I'll leave you with this to chew on as you review your own healthcare goals for 2026. Taking a hard look at your own health, your budget, and the lifestyle you want, will you choose the predictable monthly safety net, or are you perfectly fine risking those surprise bills? Take the time to evaluate your own risk tolerance and really seek out the best plan for you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.